The winds of change have hit again in Formula One, and this time it's the Alpine garage that finds itself in the tempest. Jack Doohan has been replaced officially, and by the very person his manager at one point thought would push him ahead. But now, Franco Colapinto takes center stage with a 5-race test that will determine the destiny of the French team. What are the implications for Jack's F1 future? And what happens to Alpine's bet on the international stage? The Alpine Formula One team has made a brazen and contentious move. Out is Jack Doohan, and in his stead comes the hot young Argentine talent Franco Colapinto. This comes on the orders of Alpine's new team principal Flavio Briatore, the same individual who also happens to be managing Doohan. And in a twist of fate, it was Briatore who advocated for this change. In Briatore's view, Colapinto will be granted 5 races to demonstrate his worth. This brief timeframe can either make or break the team's path in the Constructors' Championship. But is this the correct choice for Alpine, particularly in the context of the larger picture? Alpine's season so far has been anything but smooth. Pierre Gasly is still the sole driver earning points for the team, with a modest total of just 7 so far. Conversely, Jack Doohan, who is raw in terms of talent, hasn't registered a point on the board through 6 races. But scratch deeper, and the difference between Gasly and Doohan wasn't as enormous as it would have appeared. Doohan lagged behind, on average, by only 0.350 seconds per lap. And though qualifying went the way of Gasly 5-1, Doohan actually did out-qualify him for a round, only to get cut the following weekend. This has caused many to wonder about Alpine's common terminology. After all, to drop after only 6 races, particularly when the difference was quite small, is indeed unforgiving, maybe even cruel. The team's reasons were outlined in a debriefing statement by Briatore. After studying the first few races of the season, we've made the decision to have Franco share the car with Pierre for the next 5 races. With the competition this year being so evenly matched, and based on how much our car has developed in the last 12 months, we have to consider all possibilities to make the most out of it. He continued that the 2026 season will be decisive, and the team must know clearly which drivers can assist them in achieving their objectives. But even prior to this change, things were already over for Doohan. The pressure was enormous from day one, particularly after being offered only 1 race at the conclusion of the 2024 season in Abu Dhabi. Briatore was said to have told him point blank, "You're going to be under a lot of pressure." And that pressure only mounted when Colapinto and Paul were signed as reserve drivers. The Australian was constantly looking over his shoulder, aware that any misstep could be his last. Unfortunately, those missteps did occur. Doohan was involved in several crashes early this season, and by reports, he has incurred the highest crash-related damages of all drivers up to this point in 2025. 6 races into the season, and is already accumulated an outrageous €1.22 million worth of damage. Initial estimates had the Suzuka crash costing Alpine €1.3 million alone, but the figure is perhaps inflated. In any case, it contributed to the impression that Doohan was a liability rather than an asset. But let's not forget, context is important. Few drivers could have driven under the level of pressure Doohan endured. And in a recent interview, he took the news of his demotion in stride with professionalism and dignity. He stated, "I am extremely proud to have fulfilled my lifelong dream of being a professional Formula One driver. I will always thank Alpine for getting me there. This new chapter is hard to swallow naturally, but I understand the team's decision. I will keep doing my best in whatever capacity I'm required." This remark demonstrates maturity ahead of his years and speaks volumes of a driver who is still convinced about his future in Formula One. And let's be clear, Doohan has options remaining. One such name that has emerged is Cadillac, who are targeting their entry into the sport. Mick Schumacher had earlier been connected with their second seat, but now that Doohan is available as a free agent, things are different. Nevertheless, his present circumstance is certainly uncomfortable. To have your boss also serve as team boss, and then be the one to release you, is a conflict of interest few would wish to go through. But Doohan's salvation perhaps lies in the fact that he remains within the Alpine organization. He has not been entirely discarded. Indeed, Alpine sources indicate that Doohan was instrumental in the background in assisting Gasly. In the Miami Grand Prix, for instance, Gasly made last-minute adjustments to his rear suspension based on Doohan's advice, and it worked. Ted Kravitz even referenced this on air. Gasly left the pit lane after switching back to a Doohan-like setup. Jack is one of the best in car setup. He assisted Pierre in optimizing the car when it counted. So even if the statistics don't indicate it, Doohan's presence has been experienced in the garage. He is not merely a seat warmer, he is an asset when it comes to engineering and setup tactics. All that aside, though, Colapinto is now in the spotlight. His assignment? To score points through 5 grueling races, 3 in Europe, a tough journey to Canada, and back again to Austria. The car is a contender, perhaps not up at the level of Mercedes or Red Bull, but sufficient to fight at the midfield with Williams and Haas. And that is where things get interesting. Colapinto caused controversy when he first made his debut alongside Williams, even being able to put pressure on Alex Albon. But his performances weren't without controversy. Most significantly, he was involved in high-profile crashes at Las Vegas and Sao Paulo that tarnished his reputation. For Alpine, who are already pouring money into fixing cars, an expensive crash will be catastrophic. So, the stakes are sky-high for both drivers. If Colapinto cannot score consistently, or incurs huge repair costs, Doohan's door back into the seat may swing open again. It's not merely about pace anymore. It's about reliability, consistency, and affordability. And there's another twist. With a recent leadership switch at Alpine, Oliver Oakes now advocating for Paul Aron as reserve driver, it's obvious that Alpine is an unstable team. Constant leadership turnover and internal conflicts have created instability. Let us not forget that star drivers such as Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, and Esteban Ocon have all left the team in recent years. Even team principals such as Otmar Safnoa were unable to find stability under Alpine's current setup. It all comes down to a bigger issue. The climate at Alpine may be too poisonous for young drivers to succeed. And that's precisely why Doohan's Formula One future should not be discussed solely in relation to his stint at Alpine. With a new outfit, an improved support network, and less pressure from within, there is every reason to think he can make it. The statistics support this. For all his bumpy beginning, Doohan's average qualifying deficit to Gasly was a mere 0.350 seconds, a statistic that won't be lost on other teams. That sort of performance in pressure situations confirms one thing: the potential is definitely there. As for Colapinto, his 5-race test will be merciless. Alpine badly needs to move up in the Constructors' Championship, and if Colapinto fails, the team's 2025 campaign could descend even further. The time is short, and the room for mistakes is inches wide. So where does that leave Jack Doohan? Replaced, but not forgotten. He is still part of the Alpine system, a driver with established setup ability, raw speed, and the determination to come back. His tale is far from finished. And as for Colapinto, he has 5 races to demonstrate he's the real deal, and that the team's risk was worthwhile. Do you think Doohan will come back stronger than ever? Or is Colapinto Alpine's next big star? Leave your comments in the box below. And don't forget to watch the video now on your screen. It goes even deeper into the biggest upheavals of the 2025 F1 season.